I'm Marissa Sarback reporting in Phoenix, Arizona. Changes are coming to the Phoenix Police Department following a city council meeting on Tuesday night.
We are making some very important steps forward related to public safety.
A long list of changes coming to the Phoenix Police Department.
What's up, you guys? Welcome back to Southern Draw Law. My name is James White, criminal defense attorney, former prosecutor, former police officer. What you just watched is a short clip of an ABC News 15 report that happened in September of 2024, alleging essentially that the city of Phoenix had heard the cries. They'd observed the fact that the DOJ called them serial retaliators, suggested that they use excessive and deadly force far too often in their encounters, and basically put them on federal government probation as it relates to law enforcement by seeking a consent decree. And so I see that report and I become encouraged because in the report, they talk about a bunch of different stuff that they're going to do. So what I'm going to do now is just sort of let you see the whole report and then remind you of some of the things that have happened in the past that I've reported on this channel, and then give you an update to the case that was the subject of this video to begin with. So let's check it out.
I'm Marissa Sarback reporting in Phoenix, Arizona. Changes are coming to the Phoenix Police Department following a city council meeting on Tuesday night.
We are making some very important steps forward related to public safety.
A long list of changes coming to the Phoenix Police Department. Things like new and additional training, higher standards for accountability, more thorough internal investigations, and the expansion of body camera videos.
Passes 9-0.
The City Council voting unanimously Tuesday night to implement new policy recommendations, but not before public comment.
Since becoming homeless 8 years ago, it seems like it's a criminal to be a homeless person anymore.
What city department gets more money when they mess up?
The Department of Justice report released over the summer says the Phoenix Police Department uses deadly and excessive force too often, discriminates against those experiencing homelessness, minorities, and people with disabilities, and has a failing internal investigation system. Phoenix Police Chief Michael Sullivan addressing that report and the changes he says they've already started implementing.
I, like many in this community, was alarmed to read the accusations from the DOJ of racial disparities in our policing. This finding is unacceptable. So we will take the necessary steps to ensure every community member is treated with dignity and respect.
Following Tuesday's policy meeting, a handful of speakers held their own press conference, citing the DOJ report as the only real reason for change.
How do these enhancements stop the brutality? How do they stop the violence, the racism, and the corruption that we've seen time and time again?
But there's still the matter of what happens next with the DOJ. Councilwoman Laura Pastor giving us a glimpse Tuesday night of where the council stands.
It's also clear that a consent decree probably won't be signed because several colleagues have, at least 5, have stated that.
Councilwoman Ann O'Brien appears to be one of them, saying Phoenix Police doesn't need federal oversight or a consent decree. While change is on the way to the department when it comes to reform, it does appear the fallout from the DOJ report may eventually be headed to court. Marissa Sarback, ABC 15, Arizona.
So in this news story, basically covering this city council meeting, they promise a bunch of changes. The police chief's on record saying this is not acceptable. We're going to make the changes, whatever. Now, keep in mind that the DOJ report came out in June of 2024. And then in August of 2024, we had the near deadly beating of Tyrone McAlpin, who, if you don't remember, was a disabled man who had both cerebral palsy and was deaf, who was beaten essentially because he didn't realize that the police were trying to detain him for an unlawful purpose, by the way. And the police officers just jumped out of the car, immediately sort of started putting hands on him. And as a result, him not having any idea what was going on, he puts his hands up and he starts sort of trying to, sign language, tell him that he can't hear. He's completely freaking out because, hey, he just got attacked by people, right? So I did a story on that. This encounter with Mr. McAlpin happened in August. So you got the DOJ report happening in June. Then you have McAlpin being beaten nearly to death and then jailed, by the way, for nearly a month because he couldn't afford to post bond on this bogus aggravated assault charge. And so these officers were going to investigate it. And so again, timeline, you got June report from the DOJ. You got the story out of Phoenix on Tyrone McAlpin in August. And then in September, they come to this city council meeting and they're like, we got to change stuff, right? So they put this out probably because it was only hoped they were going to get any positive news coverage from ABC 15 News, but nevertheless, they do it. So I've recently seen on ABC News 15 that Dave Biskobing was doing a report on an update for the officers involved in the beating of Tyrone McAlpin, and apparently they were suspended. So without further ado, let's go out to the new report on the update for these guys who got suspended because of beating up Tyrone McAlpin and see whether or not you have a renewed confidence in the Phoenix Police Department internally addressing the problems that they have with their police department. Let's check it out.
Story at 6, a 24-hour suspension. That's what these Phoenix officers are getting for repeatedly punching and tasering an innocent deaf man with cerebral palsy. Tonight, a lot of people speaking out about these new suspensions.
That discipline was just announced 7 months after that violent arrest. ABC 15 Chief Investigator Dave Biskobing exposed that video that led to all of this. And Dave's here to break down that fallout.
The police chief says the suspensions show that Phoenix is committed to accountability. The police union says the chief is pathetic for disciplining officers at all. And then there are others who say the chief, the police department, and the union have lost the public's trust. Tyrone McAlpin was arrested 7 months ago. Officers went after him based on entirely made-up allegations from another man. We broke the story. It immediately drew national outrage, so Phoenix opened an internal investigation. The result? The police chief issued 24-hour unpaid suspensions to the 3 officers involved. 2 of the officers will also be required to attend additional de-escalation training. What do you think about this announcement, this level of discipline for this case?
Well, it's obviously it's far too little, far too late, and it appears to be completely political in nature.
Jesse Showalter is one of Tyrone's attorneys. We asked him to respond to the discipline. So I'm going to read you something, a statement from the chief in this media advisory. He said, quote, "The decision to suspend the officers reflects our commitment to accountability and maintaining public trust." You were there, I was there. We watched in court when officers went in to testify against McAlpin that there were ranking members of the Phoenix Police Department and the Public Information Office who sat and watched that video, watched this hearing, watched this testimony, and no investigation was opened for another, week or two. And that's when, we did a story in this video, then went everywhere all across the country and the outrage grew. So what do you think about that statement from the chief?
It does not seem that they are at all interested in accountability. If they were interested in accountability, they would have come out 7 months ago and said, hey, we have a problem here.
The Phoenix Police Union also put out a statement about the discipline, saying they were appalled by the suspension and calling the chief shameful and pathetic. The union also claims Tyrone attacked the officers.
It should never be a surprise what the union says, because they have one job and one job only, and that is to prevent their officers from being held accountable. The union is just laughing at the general public. They're just laughing at the city of Phoenix, and they really don't care about reality.
The union statement also provides inside information. It claims the officers were found in policy by Phoenix PD's Force Evaluation and Review Unit, but that was suddenly reversed due to public pressure based on biased media reporting.
If that is true, it should be terrifying, because if that is true, what it means is that the city of Phoenix, its police department, trains officers that they can attack disabled people, African American people, pretty much any member of the public, without any provocation, based on false claims, and that is the city of Phoenix policy.
Chief Michael Sullivan declined our interview request, and Phoenix says that's because the officers can still appeal their discipline, and that process is still ongoing. I'm investigator Dave Biskobing, ABC 15, Arizona.
Dave, thanks. The NAACP on this also released a pretty lengthy statement. Let's get to it in part. It says, let's be clear, this is not accountability. This is not justice. There is no community trust when a black man is assaulted, arrested, and falsely accused by the police. There is no community trust when it takes 8 months to investigate an incident that the entire country witnessed.
Well, so there you have it. Is that what you had in mind when you wanted accountability for this situation with these 2 Phoenix police officers? there were 3 people suspended, each for 1 day, 24-hour suspension. Basically, if they work 12-hour shifts, this is 2 days without pay. They'll be able to make it up in overtime or just taking vacation days, probably. More than likely, they'll be allowed to take vacation days in order to use that time so that they don't even have to go without pay. So no criminal charges, especially not for lying under oath, which, their testimony was completely inconsistent with what the body cam showed. And I may at some point end up doing if I can find the video. I'm not sure whether there's any record of the video in the preliminary hearing, but I would be curious as to what they actually testified to and how it lines up with what actually happened on the body cam. But I came away with absolutely no confidence in the Phoenix Police Department's motivation to make sure that this doesn't happen again. And I suspect that you feel the same way. In closing, I'm not sure that anything is ever going to change if this is the level of accountability that we can come to expect. Because, again, just like Mr. Showalter said, if they really cared about what they would have done is they would have fired them immediately and recommended them for prosecution for aggravated assault, because there was literally nothing here that would have given them privilege to act the way they acted. I've even seen lawyers and cops on YouTube defending this. This is insane, guys. There's nothing here. This is all about giving the police way too much control over everyday citizens. You cannot simply put your hands on somebody and then when they freak out because they're deaf and have no idea what's going on, beat them to a bloody pulp and get away with it. It's just not something that can happen in a civilized society. But that's where we are. So I'm still curious to see what this lawsuit, I think this lawsuit's going to be enormous, but my guess is what I think happens here is you've got mayor and city council that voted for accountability, whatever that looks like, 9-0 in this meeting. And then you've got the internal affairs division of the Phoenix Police Department that have found whatever they found. And the police union comes out and says, well, wait a minute, you said that they were within policy, but you're suspending them anyway. So more than likely, if they appeal the suspensions, they probably won't hold up either, because they're going to be able to successfully make the argument. It's like telling me to go to jail when you've proven that I didn't commit a crime. So the police officer, from their perspective and from the union's perspective, is going to say, wait a minute, you need to come out and say, we need to change our policy, but how can you advocate for a suspension for these guys when you've said that what they did was within policy? And so they've got a serious problem on their hands. They either need to cut these guys loose and deal with the backlash from the union, but at least they're going to send a message to their rank and file police officers that, hey, look, we're not going to defend you if you do stuff like this. We don't care whether you're unionized or not. And take the heat, because that's going to be way less costly than taking the heat from the public. But you've got two competing interests here. You've got politicians in the city council side and the mayor that are trying to hold on to their power and trying to, superficially appease the public. And then you've got the police departments that are also trying to do the same thing. And it's all about self-service. Has nothing to do with community service, has nothing to do with what's best for the overall citizenry. It's all about holding on to the power. That's all they really care about. Anyway, I just wanted to give you guys the update, let you know that nothing much has changed in Phoenix, Arizona. Dave Biskobing is still Citizen of the Year as far as I'm concerned. Hopefully this guy gets $100 million and, but hope that something's going to change. I'm not confident there. Anyway, I'd like to invite you to come over and check us out on Substack. If you want to interact with me personally, that's your best chance to do it. Pulling back from the comments and going to be basically doing all of my interaction with my audience over on Substack for the most part. It's completely free to join. There are going to be paid tier opportunities if you're interested in supporting the channel in that way. There'll be information on that on the landing page when you go over to Substack. Head over, check it out. Link will be in the description. If you're not interested in joining Substack, but you'd still like to support the channel monetarily, you can still do that through Venmo or PayPal. I'll post my links both here on the screen as well as in the description. Please remember to like and subscribe and leave a comment on the video. Check out some of the other videos on the channel and leave a comment on there as well. Until I see you again, take care. Always film your interactions with the police and keep your evidence to yourself.